Hello friends, welcome to the farm.
We have had a busy 2 weeks and we're going to tell you all about it.
We really had a busy 2 weeks.
Yeah, it got warm in Pennsylvania. We actually had a day in the 70s, which is unusual for March. But we have been outside doing all kinds of outside chores that we haven't been able to do all winter. So it came to last week's video and we're like, we don't have time.
The bees are flying and the maple trees are starting to open up. So promise of spring.
Things are coming to life. Daffodils are coming up. I mean, it's exciting. I know we could still get a serious cold snap.
Yeah.
But for right now,
That could be the problem.
That could be a problem. But for right now, it's good. Now, at the moment, we're in the middle of a bit of a storm. So there's actually a tornado watch. So if you see us go running, you'll know why.
Or if you hear a freight train.
Yeah. We don't get those very often in Pennsylvania, so we don't expect anything. But when they put that out, you kind of stay a little bit alert.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things we did?
How about the chicken yard?
Oh, the weeping willow. First thing I had to do, we have a big weeping willow in the chicken yard, and it's beautiful. I love how it looks, and I love that it gives them hawk protection. But those big weeping willow branches sometimes go the whole way down to the ground. And I like to be able to see across the yard, see my chickens. The hawks can't see them from above, but I want to see them across the yard, so I kind of keep it trimmed up. He took off some really big branches for me, and then I took off a bunch more little ones. And I end up taking them off through the summer as they get in the way I take them off.
So what are you going to do with all the branches?
I saw something on Pinterest that you can do with willow branches. I'm going to make cages for my pepper plants out of willow. I figured there's got to be some kind of cool way to use this, and I think it's going to work. I have a couple of them made, and I'll show you how I did it briefly. And I think it's going to work. Now I have like 40 peppers. I don't think I'll have enough cages, but I'm going to have a lot. So,
Well, if you have extras, maybe you can make a basket.
yeah, I could try. Now, I don't know. This is just a regular weeping willow. I don't know if you can make baskets with that, or is
They
there a
look
special
really
willow?
flexible and strong.
Oh, they are flexible, but there might be a special willow for baskets. I don't know. I don't know anything about willow. If you know about willow for baskets, let me know. But that would be kind of cool.
So the next task that we had is I had to work out in our crepe fields. So we have 6 acres of wildflowers, and it's a government program from USDA. It's a Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program.
Yeah, CREP.
Yep. And it is designed not only for fresh water and cleaning, but they also allow an area for nesting birds in addition to all the other pollinators. So it's a 10-year contract that I have, but in year 5, I'm required to cut half of it. And that keeps any invasive plants or trees. Now, in our case, we had quite a few trees because along the tree line in that crepe program, we have black locust, and they can be invasive. So I had many trees that were about 8 to 10, 12 foot. So I had to cut them out and drug them over to the burn pile. So the easy part was actually getting the brush hog on the tractor and mowing. While the grass is 4, 5, 6, 8 feet tall, that cut off real easy. and I would actually just mow over the trees that are about an inch round or less. But the bigger ones, I had to get the chainsaw out. And those trees can be wicked because they have spikes and needles on
They're
them.
nasty trees.
Yeah, they are. So it's good to get rid of them.
Yeah, so
Although they make great fence posts because they don't rot. But anyway, the 6 acres of crepe is all cut and all cleaned up and ready to go. So we met the contract.
so now you don't have to do anything till next year, right?
Yeah, next year I cut the other half that I didn't cut. So they want to make sure that half of it is still available for any nesting birds and animals. But
Well, we also have deer that hang out in there.
yeah,
And who knows
lot of
who knows
rabbits
what else? Fox?
and foxes.
Yeah.
So it's a great meadow. We love it.
And it's beautiful because all the wildflowers change throughout the season, so it's constantly changing color.
And you see just thousands and thousands of bees, native bees, not just our honey bees, but there are far more native bees than what anybody realizes.
Yeah.
So,
It's pretty cool.
yep.
So another job I had to do was to clean out the asparagus bed. That's not exactly a fun job, but we love asparagus, so it's worth it. So it's just a matter of cutting off all the big stalks. I let them there over the winter, and I cut them all off and then put some compost down. And I
So
actually put
why
some,
do you leave them over the winter? That's what I want to know.
Well, they're not really dead and dried to cut in the fall. You want to wait till they're
Okay.
completely dead, and then they're dead in January. I'm not cutting them in January.
So the energy from the plant
It does go
finishes
back
going
down
back
and-
to the root? Okay.
And I do put them on the burn pile. I didn't see any asparagus beetles last year, but just in case there was asparagus beetles, I burn all that stuff. That's one thing I don't put in the compost.
So did you throw them in the back of your buggy and then drive it so all those little seeds will flop, so we'll have a little asparagus growing
But we
everywhere?
do end up with asparagus going everywhere. But that's okay, we like asparagus.
Yeah, I think the birds do most of it.
Yeah, they do. They like it.
Yeah.
But now I like it because the asparagus get all pretty, and now it get warmer. I just get to go out there and watch for the first
Yeah.
asparagus to pop up.
That's the first harvest of the year, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's an exciting time.
Well, you had a really fun, mine was hard work.
You had a very hard job.
So we live in an area in the farm that has terrific soil. It's limestone soil, so the soil's great. We're very happy about that. But along with it comes rock outcropping, and the
lot of
limestone works its way up every winter. With the freezing and thawing, some of the stone works its way up to the top. And we're not talking about little rocks. I mean, there are some that are little rocks like this, but there are some massive outcroppings that is just wicked on your equipment.
Yeah.
So we have a pasture and a hayfield, and I don't want to bust up my mowers and equipment for making hay. So we brought in 3 triaxle loads of topsoil, and I put them over the rocks. Now some of them I had to break up a little before.
Anything he could break the top off, he did do that the hard way.
Yeah, and then I try to cover it so it's got at least 4 or 5 inches over the rock so we can get some hay growing. So that was a big job because the easy part was riding on the tractor and spreading it out, but the hard part was raking it out and then hand seeding it and then raking over that again. So we got a nice pasture mix that's got Timothy and some endophyte-free fescue.
And it's getting watered right now with the storm.
Absolutely. That's why I had to hurry and get it in before the weekend and the rain.
Yeah. Now he actually had, since he had those big truckloads of soil, we used some of that to fill the raised beds. He made me 3 new raised beds for the garden. I had 3 already, I wanted 3 more. So we used that to fill them. Between the soil we put some in, and then we put some compost in. So the raised beds were all ready to go. So I filled one of them up with carrots and beets already, and they're getting watered right now too.
So how many raised beds do you have now?
6.
Okay.
Who knows how many there'll be next year.
Yeah.
I did it mainly for the carrots, so I could have really good soil and get nice, long, perfect carrots.
Our carrots have been pretty funky before that. You know, they hit a rock and then it spreads out. And
yeah, because we're really trying to improve the soil. It's been 5 years, and we have improved it a lot. But there's still a lot of rocks the carrots end up going around. So the raised bed, I have that much soil that's pretty good. So we should have some pretty carrots this year.
So you had other things to plant too,
I was
didn't
going
you?
to say, besides the carrots and the beets, I planted peas, shelling peas, sugar peas, and I'm growing sweet peas this year for flowers. And in the tunnel, I had spinach survive all winter long, and it is exploding right now. So we've been eating a lot of spinach and giving spinach away.
And this is the winter that it went down to minus 10 degrees, I think.
Yeah, I had it covered with 2 fleece, and it did fine. Not a problem.
That was surprising.
Now I got little baby kale out there and some lettuce too. So I have a lot of stuff growing in the tunnel. That's that's exciting to see. Something really green growing.
Well, in the tunnel, you have it all worked out with the cardboard and the walkways. And
yeah, but a couple of the walkways needed touched up. I had to put down the cardboard and then put wood chips over top. So no weeds will come up in the pathway.
it looks really nice.
And the beds are all covered with compost, ready to plant.
So 3 weeks ago, we were behind, weren't we? And now, I don't know, I hesitate to say we're caught up, but we're in danger of being caught up.
Well, we got a lot done, let's put it that way.
Yeah. So what else did we plant? How about trees?
You planted a lot of new trees.
Yeah, we did. So I have 64 fruit trees now, 8 rows of 8 a whole way across.
He's crazy.
Yeah. So we wanted to plant more cherries because we love cherry crisp
The
and
sour cherries.
the sour cherries. So we picked up 4 more Montmorency cherries.
And apricots.
Yeah.
We had apricots for the first time this year in
That's
our
our
trees.
new favorite fruit.
All the grandkids went crazy. So he planted, what, 7 more?
7 more apricots. Hercott.
Now it'll be a few years, but we'll get more apricots.
Yeah, and another variety that was the local nursery that we have in the fruit belt here apparently grows trees for one of the national suppliers. And they grew more than what they needed in national, so we got a deal on
So we got some.
terrific other varieties. I can't recall what it is now. We'll put it
I'll
on
put it
screen.
below.
Yeah.
You didn't just plant trees, you had to prune the old trees.
Yeah, and that is a job. Now, some of the trees, like the peaches and the nectarines, they go crazy. There's a lot of work for them. And then most of the apple trees aren't too bad. I've got them trimmed up, the scaffolding the way I want them in the trees, so I just have to tip off a lot of the branches to spur some new growth for the next year. But they're in pretty good shape. But I'm glad that I don't have 64 peach trees, because that would be a crazy amount.
Yeah.
And then the burn pile would be enormous. Well, it's already pretty big, isn't
Yeah,
it?
he's gonna have to burn the burn pile very soon. It's getting to be a
because
mountain.
don't forget, I had to put all of those trees from the crepe area.
And the asparagus, and plus there's already a bunch of stuff on there.
Yeah, because we have a wood tree line that goes all the way around the property, and in the winter, invariably, some of the trees fall over and have to cut them. So that pile builds up very quickly.
After this storm, you're gonna have to check, because it was a lot of wind, so there could be trees down now. So he'll check that tomorrow.
Yeah.
But now, pruning the fruit trees, we're gonna show you real quick, just basically how he does it, the 2 different kinds of trees.
Okay, friends, we're out in the garden. It's a beautiful day. It's probably in high 40s and sunny. Perfect day to finish up with the pruning. Today we're just going to hit a few trees, and in a couple weeks Brenda and I are going to put out another video a little more extensive on what to do in pruning. But today, this is a Fuji tree, apple, and it's about 5 years old, and it's on a dwarf stock, and they recommend on this root stock to brace the tree. So we've done that. You can see that I've tried to prune it with a central leader, and this one's a little funny because a lot of these trees, once they get to the height that they're going to end, and they kind of curl over. and I'm probably going to trim that off. But the tree pretty much is the shape that I wanted, with central leader and some main branches coming out. We call them scaffold branches. So today, apple trees are easier to do than many others. It's not out of control in growth, so I just need to tip back a lot of these long branches, which will spur more growth. And also, bringing up the word spur, the fruit spurs. This tree grows its fruit on spurs. Not all apple trees and not all trees grow them on spurs. I'll show you another tree, another apple that's right next to this that's different. So anyway, I'm going to start off just going in. I'm going to take out some of the water sprouts in here. They're just growing up high. I'm going to cut them all the way back to the collar. And these do no good, so they are coming off. And fortunately, there aren't too many of them in here. And then I'm just going to go through and take my time and tip off these branches. It's important to, you select a bud and you cut right above it and have the bud going in a direction you want it to go. So this one, I want it to continue to go out. So I'm going to cut right here about 1/4 of an inch above it. Just give me a little bit of time here. I'm going to continue to work on this tree and tip off these branches. Okay, now this is another tree. It's a Granny Smith and it's right next to the Fuji, but it couldn't be more different. While it does have the central leader still, this tree does not have fruit spur. So if you go along this tree and you cut back every one of these and tip every one of these branches, you will have little or no fruit on this tree, because the way this tree fruits is typically at the last bud, and it's a fruiting bud. It's not a spur. So it's important to know the difference between a fruit spur and a bud. So I have to be very careful with this tree. I'm only going to cut back branches that are growing in a way that we don't want, because every one that I tip is going to be less fruit. Okay, now we've moved over to a peach tree. Now this one's only about 3 years old, and I've been pruning this one, have a scaffold with 3 main branches. Remember, with the peach trees, we want more of a vase and opened up to get the airflow around it, not like the apples, which have a central leader. And it's also important to know where the fruit comes on these trees. They don't have fruit spurs like apples or pears. These have fruit buds that can go all along the branches, typically on a 1-year-old branch. So if you make a mistake and go ahead and cut out all the 1-year-old, you know, like these branches here, you're not going to have any fruit on your peach tree.
One other garden job I started on, I have some plants I need to move. Number one, hibiscus. I planted hibiscus. They're a little too close together, so I have to dig them up and put them a few other places in the garden. They're just beautiful, you know. And then tiger.
You put them out at your flower bar?
No, they're not really a cut flower.
Okay.
They're just, when they open up, they're just gorgeous.
So they're for you.
Yeah, they're for us to enjoy. And I'm going to put them all along the edge of the garden closest to the house, so when you look at the garden,
they're the big ones, right?
You'll see hibiscus.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be pretty. But I also have tiger lilies that I planted when we first started the garden 5 years ago. Nice little clump of tiger lilies. I didn't realize how fast they spread. They have grown huge, and they're actually encroaching onto the beds where I plant stuff. So row at a time, I'm going to be digging up tiger lilies and planting them, some of them at the end of the bed, where, at the end of the garden where we put the new orchard. So when I have a nice row of tiger lilies, and they can do whatever they want there. I don't care how much they spread. And we'll put some along the tree line, but that's going to be a long job. I got some dug up.
They'll get so thick that it'll intertwine with a fence and it'll keep the critters from coming in.
Hopefully.
Because I did have one problem. Somehow I left one of the wires out, and one of the deer came in and rubbed on the tree, so
Yeah.
had some damage. That's
Just
only
a little bit, though. It's not too bad. Now, you also had some bee stuff to do, right?
Oh yeah. Well, we had 8 hives, and 6 of them survived the winter. There were 2 of them that were small last year, and I gave them some dry sugar, hoping they'd make it. And a lesson learned: if it's a little too small, I should have combined it with another hive because they just were too small. They made it all the way through till we had that cold snap that went down to about -10, and unfortunately we lost them. So, but the other 6 are in great shape, so we had some work to do there. Usually at end of February or March, I put some dry sugar up on the top, and they've been working that and enjoying it. And the days that are warm enough, they will break up from the cluster, go up top and get some of the sugar, and they will take it down in the brood area to make sure that they've got enough honey there.
But they're working.
Oh, and some of them, I know there's brood in there, they're building up ready for spring. And today it was almost 70. They were, before the storm came, they were flying like crazy.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that spring honey.
Yeah. You know, another reason we didn't do a video last week is that your office was turned upside down, wasn't it?
Yeah, our son actually had time and put a floor in the parlor.
Well, we finally picked what floor we wanted to put in, and then he installed it. It took a couple days, but
I don't know if you remember, anybody that's watched us, that floor has been plywood for 5.5 years. So we finally have a floor in the parlor, and then we took it clear on through to my office, but that did mean my office was disassembled.
Some big desks and things we had to move around in there when we put the floor in.
So I wouldn't have been able to do a video even if we had time to film it. So it was a rough week.
So do you feel like we're ahead now? We can take a week off?
No. We're never ahead, but I do feel like we got a good start on it. At least I got some of those things done.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be another great year.
It is going to be a good year, and all the stuff in the grow room's really growing. I'm getting excited. The plants start to get this big, and it's like, ooh, spring's coming.
And we're going to get a lot of fruit and a lot of honey this year, aren't we?
Yeah. I am very excited, and I'm excited for all the flowers.
Yeah. So, well, thanks for joining us on our catch-up 2 weeks and the busyness. So we're going to leave you by showing some of the other pictures around the farm. So we'll see you in our next video.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.